Hey fam, I just wanted to jump on real quick and catch up a little bit. I thought I was gonna be posting yesterday and I didn't. Look, I know that I'm supposed to be being more active with the channel. I'm also working full time. I'm also going through some spiritual transformation and some stuff of my own. So bear with me. We're gonna do this, but it ain't gonna be pretty or scripted and all of that. It's gonna be real and raw. But hey, that's how we roll over here. So I'm glad y'all are willing to hang with me. The reason I wanted to post yesterday, I actually had the a person who prompted me to post this page asked me. He said some of the people are wanting to know what's not this page, because if you're seeing this, you're on Instagram or on YouTube. But I recently announced that I was opening a group in WhatsApp and invited Instagram family and YouTube subscribers to join the group, but they wanted a little more information about what the group was about. And at first I thought it was kind of clear, so I just rattled off to him real quick. Well, it's exactly what I said, transformation, rebirth, ascension. But yesterday when I got off work and really started thinking, like, well, first off, I had two full circle moments when I got off work. I came outside to relax, unwind, meditate a little bit so I could go in and do some personal readings that I'm still getting out there. So if I owe you a reading, be patient, it is coming. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I realized that a lot of certain things in my past were kind of pointing away to what I'm getting ready to do, and I hadn't realized it. But I was listening to a message that was very much for me and had a lot of synchronicity and confirmations in it. But it suddenly brought me back to remember two very important things from my past. The first one was in around 2000. I don't remember exactly if it was 2009 or 10, maybe even 11. I was working at Shields Tavern in Williamsburg at the time as a waitress, and beginning to undergo a portion of my awakening that I wasn't aware of. I was still very much in fear. That's crazy for somebody that's super religious, raised with a lot of fear around spirituality and the other side of the veil, to be working in an attraction that was known to be haunted. Oh, I got a whole separate video that I could on some of the stuff that happened there. But during that time, I didn't realize it, but I think I was beginning to open up my light body, because I had several instances. There were people that would want to stop and pray with me, not pray for me, pray with me. I had people stopping and telling me, oh, you know Jesus, I can see it. And I was, at the time, I was still angry with religion. I'm like, yeah, but this one lady stopped me one day, and she wasn't even a customer at my table. She came into another dining room. She had seen me come through and interacting with guests, and she came and took both of my hands. Now, mind you, this is not the first time someone has spoken over my life, but she said to me, you have a ministry. And I'm angry with religion. I'm like, you won't catch me up in nobody's pulpit. She was like, every ministry ain't from a pulpit. I know. She said, but you have a ministry. And unless or until you fulfill your purpose, you are never going to find happiness, and you're not going to succeed the way you think you want to. Well, I wasn't super thrilled with hearing that, but hey, at the time I took the info and went on. But I do realize that I'm being called to teach, and it's not going to really look like what most people expect for it to look like. And the group that I started is truthfully kind of the start of that. Through the past several years, I've reached a point where I realized I was undergoing transformation. I even told some of my friends and acquaintances at the time, starting in 2017, I started meditating consistently in 2016. By March, it was like the fall, October, I think, of 2016, I started meditating every day. By March of 2017, I knew I was undergoing a transformation. It had not gotten as spiritual as it is now. At that point, I was dealing with more cosmic concepts and things like that, but I started paying attention to the information that I was being led to, and acknowledged and understood that it wasn't just me making it up, that I was literally being spiritually directed, and I leaned into it hard. As a result, I have a lot of information that I haven't necessarily been able to share with people up to this point. Most of the people around me weren't interested in it. Takes too long. They're not interested. It's mumbo jumbo. And for those that are still like seriously into the religious thing, they really wasn't trying to hear it. And truthfully, I'm grateful because I was not prepared to say it at the time. In 2017, I also had a clairaudient thought that came through. I was sitting outside work one day, and the thought came to me that very often what we think of as insanity is nothing more than moments of extreme clarity that people try to explain before they could find the words and context to make it make sense to other people. And in rapid fire, after having that thought, I got two random people came up to me sitting on the outside at this park bench outside my office and gave me a clear demonstration of that. One of them truly had real mental issues going on. I could still see a glimmer of what they were talking about in there, but the second gentleman, what he started describing was 100%. I didn't understand all of it at the time, but he had really had some real contact with the other side. He just wasn't be able to connect the words. I saw it happen with Kanye on a world stage. Everybody thought he was crazy. The man ain't crazy. He woke up all the way up and couldn't find the words. So I didn't want to be viewed that way. I kept a lot of it to myself. It started bleeding out in conversations with other people around me. But as you can imagine, I was at a point in my life where a lot of the associates that I had had in my life were peeling away for other reasons on their own, karmic contracts and lessons ending, and some of them left on their own, some of them I had to cut off. There really wasn't an outlet for me to talk about what I'm learning except a very small group of people that I was sending information and sharing information with in my messenger app. Either people that were directly known to me that were on a similar spiritual path, or they had shared content with me, other people's content, and I thought they might be interested or whatnot, but I still wasn't getting a lot of feedback from any of that. I do the same thing. People share stuff to me all the time in Messenger. I may not even see it until I get super bored one day and go back and look at, the last 5, 10 things that they sent me, and when I have time to address it. So I wasn't even sure if the content that I was sharing was being received, except for the people that reach out and said something about it. And one of those people is the dear brother who asked me to start the group, but they wanted to know what it was about. Now, when I messaged back to him, I wrote some of this down because I just answered off the top of my head at the time in text, but I really wanted to capture a lot of what I said because I think like I said, I don't want to get too wordier than I already am, but the group Transformation, Rebirth, and Ascension, it's for people that are interested in this path, of course, seekers, those who know that something is really happening and we aren't being told the full truth, and those who find themselves like suddenly, or even maybe not suddenly, but suddenly more keenly interested in spirituality than they had been before and kind of wants an outlet for that. I am going to tell my story. I'm being called to tell it, it is a point of healing for me, but it's also, I think, there's going to be some folks that can identify with some of the things that I went through, because I'm not going to tell it from the victim story. There's some things, there's no way around it. They just weren't cool and they weren't right, but I've learned to see them in a different way and understand my teachers, as Gandhi says. Thank them, I bless them for being my teachers, even though they brought me pain. And I want to share that to see if somebody else can kind of find some of that in their own story. But after I do that, I want to start going through the information that I was led to in my awakening and along the spiritual journey, some of the clairaudient experiences, some of the visual experiences, but more importantly, the information that I was led to, the books, the audio books, the videos, the ones that haven't been taken down yet. And then I want to start, as we start coming kind of up to the present in the timeline, I want to start going through some of the information that I'm being led to go back through now, and some of the things that I haven't looked at yet, but I know I need to, or in more detail. I do want to go through the Emerald Tablets of Thoth again. I've done that before, but every time you go through it, you get something new. I'm being called to look into the Apocrypha, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Pulp of Vu. And I definitely, when we go through the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, I want to go through the Compendium by Billy Carson as well. But instead of me just doing that on my own and then kind of coming up like the nerdy librarian and giving the book report, that's cool. I'm going to do that. But that group is basically, hopefully, it will continue and it will become a place where we can talk about those things. I can post those videos, but we can do it almost book club style, where after I've talked about it or gone over the information, after those have had, a few days, giving folks a chance to go and listen to the book or read it or whatever we're talking about, and then take the discussion to the group so that they can actually ask questions in real time. It becomes a spiritual think tank at that point, because it's not just about what I say. Who am I? I'm just somebody that saw some stuff and kind of put the pattern pieces together, but I want to know, how we feel about it, because the information I'm giving isn't being just given just to be given. I know it's a call to action, not just for me, but for other people, if they can process it and accept it. Everything that we go through here on this planet is about choice. Now, we've aligned ourselves with a lot of crazy stuff that we didn't even realize was crazy, but we've been directly spoon-fed misinformation and information designed to regulate and in some places cripple us. And it's time, going into the age of Aquarius, new world, new age, whatever we are, regardless of which religious system that you look at, we're winding down to the end of all of them books. But I was always the kid that was focused on the last page of the book. I came up in a Christian tradition, and the final couple of pages of Revelation don't call for all of the scrambling and the dissent and the stuff that's happening now. We can choose to step out of that reality, and we're being called to do so. And for those that are open-minded enough and open-hearted enough, and consciousness can expand enough to take that ride, of course, I don't have any more proof than anybody else when they thought they was going to go land on the moon somewhere, but that didn't stop them from doing it. And as true spiritual gangsters, seekers, warriors, chosen ones, whatever you label you choose to identify with, you're being called to do the same thing. We're going to have to go out there and do something that up to this point has not quite been done to the level and the extent that before. Others have done it before us. Others got, Yeshua paved the way, Maitreya paved the way, Joan of Arc paved the way, but there's a way that all of those energies and entities are coming back to revisit those lessons, or helping us revisit them, so that we can forward humanity's consciousness. It's not just about our own personal salvation, but that's kind of where we are at in that. So I definitely want to thank you for joining me, for those who have joined so far. For any who see this message and are interested in joining us, please, welcome. You are more than welcome. It is a safe space. We can talk about pretty much anything that's of interest. We're going to keep it respectful and classy. This ain't no place to dump or traumatize people or start trying to proselytize and all that. That is not the place for that. If you're still at point of being that wrapped up in your religiosity, and I know that ain't a real word, but I use it because it is real, then this might not be the place for you yet. But if you want to come in and see what we're talking about and have respectful discussion and ask real questions, all are welcome that have that intent in mind, because that is my intent for those I interact with. I thank you for your ear today. Peace and blessings. I do have to get back to work. I'm on my lunch break. Yeah, I work from home, so I'm not dressed for work, but I'm dressed for work. But until then, I love you so much, family. Peace and blessings. Namaste.